But then, like, where was the
Good
hamster?
morning. Who knows? Up Spencer's pipes at his home. Seemingly, Spencer lost
15 seconds. That is a new record.
Roth is having a stroke.
That is a new
call for help.
record.
I didn't start that. That was Joe Starr. I'm Roth Cornet. This is Screen Junkies Universe. This is the real intro. This is Dan Murrell.
Hi.
This is Mr. Spencer Gilbert. Joe Starr started our show by discussing where the hamster might have gone. I suggested that it probably went up the pipes in Spencer's home.
Oh, home. Okay. Yeah, that's much more PG.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a new record too.
That was Black Panther.
There you go.
There we go.
Pre-sales are eclipsing all other superhero movies. What? Variety reports that, and this is via a report from Fandango, that the online ticket service says that it is currently outpacing the last record holder, which was Batman v Superman.
Oh boy.
And that they grew in the wake of the world premiere and the very, very positive feedback from most of the critics that saw the movie. I actually ran into somebody from Fandango that night, and he was predicting that exact thing would happen if that it was positive words. I might actually be having a stroke.
Do you smell almonds?
Yeah.
Or wait, that's something
Literally
else.
almost always.
Don't
But
take any health advice
feel
from the
like
show,
that's
for the
maybe don't. We don't know anything about most things, but we do know this: 97% of the people who bought their tickets for Black Panther are looking forward to a different kind of superhero movie. 95% are looking forward to the film's positive messages. 93% said they couldn't wait to see Chadwick Boseman in his own Black Panther movie after seeing him in Civil War, and 86% are excited to see the film's all-female guards, the Dora Milaje, and 85% are intrigued by the film's setting in the mythical African kingdom of Wakanda. So basically, they're excited to see Black Panther.
Those are all kind of leading questions, because who's going to be like, nah, I'm not interested in seeing something different, but I did buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not interested in Chadwick Boseman,
Yeah.
but
What
I
were,
did buy a
the
ticket.
what were the other categories, I wonder?
Who are the 15% of people that bought tickets that are not intrigued by Wakanda? Like, what movie are they going to see? It's just like, I cannot wait to see Black Panther. I'm
I have
not
no
really
interest
interested
in
in
Wakanda.
Wakanda.
Yeah, I just see
That's the
whatever
one
is
part-
advertised. Or
That's the one part I don't want to know about.
I hope they're in New York or London.
I just like Wakanda Sykes stand-up, so I figured
Yeah.
she's in a comic movie. Cool.
Nice.
I do wonder if there were other categories on this that the percentages were so low.
Yeah, I want to see Andy Serkis outside of a motion capture suit. 15%.
You do.
I know,
Yeah,
he's
you
good.
really do. He's great.
I am excited about this movie for all of these reasons, but I do also want to see this poll because I promise you it said, "Are you excited about this film's positive messages?
Right, and then
Are
who
you
says no
excited
to
about
that?
Chadwick
Exactly.
Boseman?" Yeah, and you're like, "Yeah,
Okay.
man."
Yeah.
Sure, if you bought a ticket, it's
Yeah.
good bet you're excited to see
I
Chadwick.
mean,
Again, what are the 7% that aren't excited for
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman?
And then there's 5% that are like, fuck positive messages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did it again with the,
Oh, Roth.
Anyway, this is what Eric Davis said about Black Panther. He's Fandango's managing editor and a friend of ours. He said the buzz on Black Panther is electric. Early screening audiences say it's one of Marvel's best movies ever, and the positive word of mouth is helping to drive the movie's spectacular advance ticket sales.
Can I draw the curtain back on that, though?
Yes.
When he says early screening audiences.
That's what we do.
Because, and this is not a knock on the movie itself, because there are many people that I trust, whose tastes I trust, that have liked this movie, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. But when they say early screening audiences, they mean the premiere. And literally...
Well, it wasn't just the premiere. There were other screenings that night. Press
But like the
screenings.
first early buzz audience is the premiere, and it's like every movie has good buzz coming out of the premiere. It's like it seems like that's the story now, because we're in a 24-hour movie news cycle. Is the movie has a premiere, and then the next day it's like, look at all these social media reactions from the premiere. They're amazing. It's like, yeah, of course they are. The most enthusiastic crowd you will ever see for any movie in the history of its run
You sat
is
behind
at the premiere.
You sat behind Chadwick Boseman
And-
I think
to watch
I'll.
it. Yeah.
I think
And Ryan Coogler's mom.
Right.
I've
This
told
is
you
not an
guys.
indictment on people's opinions, but it's an indictment on this coverage of just like, listen, the early word of mouth on this movie is amazing. Yeah, after the premiere, the early word of mouth on every movie is amazing. After the premiere, the early word of mouth on Batman v Superman was that it was the best thing that Warner Brothers had ever made in the superhero genre.
Yeah, I know I've told you guys, but I don't know if I've said it on the show that one of the 2 movie premieres I went to in my life was Detroit Rock City, and I thought it was the funniest movie of all time.
But
because
you
I was
had a
at
good
the premiere
reason.
Because I was in the same row as Prince.
And for that reason, it was one of the greatest
It was one of the
movies
greatest
all
things,
time.
greatest nights of my life. I thought a large Amazonian woman had brought her child to the movie, which I thought was inappropriate. But it turns out that Prince is just really, really small. He had a very tall model girlfriend at the time, and I thought it was so fun. The entire
Versus
theater
all the
is
other
laughing.
times.
And then, well, too bad Billy's gone. But then the movie ended with a live Kiss concert. Like Kiss, just like,
Yeah.
and now Kiss, and they're like, the boys are back in town, or whatever they sing. And
Not that.
no.
It's not that at all.
I want to rock and roll all night. Whatever.
And party every day. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
And it was the premiere like glow was crazy. The other movie that I went to the premiere to that I still maintain was pretty sweet is Triple X. They had a bar carved out of ice, 3 X's,
What?
out of a solid slab of ice, vodka.
I don't know.
Yes.
I've been to a number of premieres, and like I went to the premiere of the RoboCop remake, and I knew it was a piece of trash. Trash! God, I love the first RoboCop. Why did you do that? And then you put it in Canada? Like I'm supposed to believe that's Detroit? Look at all that green grass. Nothing looks run down. It's a mess.
In the future, Detroit has better landscaping.
But I hear what you're saying, but like I feel like I can pretty well separate those things. But this
But no,
night
I'm
there
not-
were a bunch of press
It's not an
screenings.
indictment on people's opinions. I just mean that it is such a smart tactical move for studios
Yes.
to invite critics to see the movie for the first time at the movie's premiere.
With the red
because
carpet
you are
and the
literally
glitz and
putting
glam.
critics in a room with the most enthusiastic crowd that will ever watch that movie. And you see it happening more and more. It's happened. I've been invited. I've gone to the same thing, and I can attest. I like to think that I can keep it separate as well. But I'm just like, it's smart. You almost self-generate your own buzz because you bring people in who go to see, they probably know that they've got a good movie. You bring people in to see it and allow them to tweet about it. Having seen it in a very electric atmosphere, I think that enhances the positive buzz that the movie's already going to get versus if they had seen it in a normal screening. I just think it's a tactical move, and it only helps to enhance the early buzz because you're putting the first wave of reactors in a room with the people who made the movie, who are the most enthusiastic crowd.
It's true. And then I will say there is another effect where at film festivals, especially Sundance, you have to like wait in. Am I a little drunk on altitude sickness and the fact that it's 6 a.m?
And we've just been
both good
partying
bad
and
of
feeling
that.
good, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a really good movie. No movie is without its problems. We will be talking more on that as we move forward. It's tracking currently to open at 100 million to 120 million in that kind of range for the President's Day weekend. That's what it's tracking as of January 25th. Not too shabby. That's keeping pace with Spider-Man: Homecoming and Thor: Ragnarok, who opened at 122 million. And Spider-Man 117. So it's doing pretty well. I don't know. I really think that this is going to be a movie that is so talked about, whether that is an enthusiastically positive response or people have some criticism and then just like craziness, that will actually help word of mouth and people see it even just out of curiosity. Speaking of crazy, there's a small segment of fandom who, I'll just briefly mention this. Yeah. There's a petition to tank the audience score of Black Panther on Rotten Tomatoes by some fans who happen to enjoy movies made about DC characters because they feel that there is a bias on Rotten Tomatoes for Marvel and against DC and amongst the critics. So fans also rallied, though, to tank the audience score of Last Jedi or they just didn't like it.
These are not fans.
Okay, very well.
These are not. They're not, and that's the thing is like they're covered as fans. Like they're not fans. They're not fans of DC. They're not fans of movies. They're not fans of Marvel. They are pathetic trolls. They are pathetic trolls who would take credit for anything. I hate that they're covered as fans because a real fan of anything would not seek to tear it down. If you're a fan of the genre, you're not going to seek to tear it down. These are sad people that get off on any kind of influence that they think they can wield. It's, they have this narrative in their head that Disney paid the critics off to talk badly about the DC movies and give them bad reviews, which is beyond ludicrous, and it's sad. Like, if they weren't so annoying, I would feel bad for them, but I don't. I just think they suck. It's pathetic. They take credit for the Last Jedi thing, which I don't think is true. I don't think that Rotten Tomatoes said it's not true. I honestly think that they are looking for attention. That's why we're not going to call them by name. But they're not fans. They're not fans of anything.
They're Saddest Anonymous.
They're fans of themselves, and they're fans of thinking that they wield some kind of influence in this world. If you want to make a mark in this world, make something. Do something constructive.
Yeah.
Do something positive. If you love DC movies so much, then make a video or write an article or tell somebody about why they're so great, why people have gotten them so wrong, instead of tearing everything down.
Make a fan film.
They're trolls. They're not fans. They're not fans of anything.
Quick question for Joe Starr. Saddest, double meaning, like sadist and so sad? Or was it just the one meaning?
Just the one. Just mainly the
Like
one.
just so
the
sad,
one
not
sad,
sadist as
sad
well?
meaning. Yeah.
Can I include that in my interpretation?
Yeah, no, you absolutely can.
Thank
That's
you.
the cool thing about words and languages. You can kind of take away what you want.
What I find is that I can just make them up. PETA is making a strong request of the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So,
I'm so excited about this story.
okay, here we go. We're going to get to it, but there's something amazing about this.
Is this story literally just for our fan Travis? Is this for Fifth Turtle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Travis.
Yeah.
Originally, this story was for Billy and I, and then Billy had to go to the dentist today. So that's a
You and your
bummer.
teeth.
Oh, I have teeth problems. No, he's going to Hawaii. It's good. You got to feel good for your vacation. PETA, the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, want Nickelodeon to make a slight adjustment in the food that the turtles eat in Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. First of all, that name indicates like that they're going to be terrifying. So
that's the
that's my
poster
first
mine
thought.
That is-
So
yeah, that's the poster.
they sent a
That's
letter to the network asking that the turtles switch to a dairy-free vegan pizza when they return to television. And this is the amazing thing about this letter, just besides the obvious. It is clearly written and then rewritten to be relatable. Like, it is working so hard to be relatable. And there's so much of me that's like, you realize that the head of the network does not talk like a Ninja Turtle. Let me give you an example. Dear Miss Zargami, I'm writing on behalf of the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, and our more than 6.5 million members and supporters worldwide. A bunch of them died in the half-shell fans of Mickey, Leo, Rafe, and Donnie to say bodacious. That was the reaction around here when word got out about Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What really has PETA buzzing, though, was the different direction that you spelled out for the new series. More laughs, mystic ninja powers, gnarly man. But every fan worth his or her nunchucks knows that wherever the show leads the turtles, they'll be fueling up with pizza. It's practically the raison d'etre, right? That's another reason why
You threw that in after nunchucks? All right.
why I'm getting in touch to ask that their pies and slices be vegan, because
There it is.
compassionate eating is the direction that TMNT fans, their siblings, and their parents are taking. Check this out. Generation Z has already scarfed down 57% more tofu and chugs 550% more non-dairy milk than millennials do. Word. So the thing about this letter is like,
cool.
I don't have a problem with their making this request. Maybe you guys do. I just think it's really funny how it was clearly written as if she's speaking as a Ninja Turtle.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, cowabunga into that soy milk.
Hello, fellow kids.
It's just sad. Like, look, I'm sympathetic to stuff like, I think that like factory farming has a whole bunch of issues, and we could probably eat less meat and probably be healthier and less cow farts melting the atmosphere. But PETA, they're going after like the DreamWorks logo, like the boy fishing in the moon and stuff like that. When there's so many like real, I think more relatable and powerful things to get behind as far as animals go, and they just go after the symbols in pop culture. I assume they do more than this.
Well, yeah,
But-
that's the thing.
But the
It's
only
like-
time you hear about them is like, oh, they're mad that like Garfield ate lasagna.
But
Like,
maybe that's why they do stuff like this, because that is the
But it
only
just makes
time
me
you
think
hear
they're
about it.
stupid.
Delegitimizes
Like,
them, yeah. Because I mean, I get where they're coming from, but I mean, it's objectively a kind of a dumb thing. It's just, but the thing is, PETA has done some very good things. They launched a very effective anti-fur campaign. Like, they obviously love animals. They do a lot of good work to make sure that they are treated ethically and that they're treated well. But it seems like there's a whole branch of it that's just like the dumb thing of the month. And it's like, what's the thing? And it's not to say that veganism is dumb. I can already hear it. I'm not saying that veganism is dumb. I'm saying that writing an open letter to the Ninja Turtles asking them to eat vegan pizza it's kind of dumb.
I'm
You
saying
know?
that
Also,
writing it in the language of a
delegitimizes
Ninja
you.
Turtle is
It's a little unbodacious.
It makes you look a little small and superfluous when they're actually doing what I think is more large scale important work, and it's kind of like why? Because that's how people think of PETA.
It makes you look goofy.
You look- yes,
the
you look
fact that
goofy.
no one was like, "Hey, no," like in that organization, it sucks.
Okay.
That they just weren't heard.
They
Maybe
need to pick your battles
But
department.
picture who works for PETA. I mean, here's the thing, and here's my confession about this, because I sound
I
like I'm
know
being
who-
very negative. I have been to multiple, as a young woman, like marches and things in favor of stopping cruelty to animals. And I don't believe in animal testing on makeup. And I was a part of like marching against fur and things that are unnecessarily cruel. And there's a number, in large, broad strokes, agree with PETA on most of their stances about things. I'm like a big animal person who also eats meat. I don't know what that says. It's very confusing for me too. I was a vegetarian for a long, long time. That's pretty much the picture. However, the argument that they actually have, they're not making, which is that what you watch when you're a kid influences how you behave as an adult. Perhaps.
the Ninja Turtles do make pizza look delicious.
They make it look so delicious.
And they have terrible pizza toppings, though. Like, the Ninja Turtles are always like, marshmallow mushroom or whatever. Like, they're always throwing all kinds of crazy crap on there. I think PETA would have had more credibility if they said, just do a cheeseless pizza instead of disgusting vegan cheese.
Yeah, I mean, I eat vegan cheese. It's not that bad.
They've made progress, but it's still it's not quite there.
They're right. Dairy farming is problematic. A lot of the things that they're saying is true. It's a personal choice what you do with that information and how much you weight it and how often you weight it. No one's.
But they picked the dumbest way to present it.
They did. I agree. Like, they wrote like they were a Ninja Turtle. It's insane to me.
Shouldn't this be
You're
from,
writing
like,
to an adult?
The parents of America saying, stop teaching our children that pizza is okay to eat every meal of the day?
That's the other thing is like pizza is
That's
in
kind of
general,
the bigger danger. I'm less worried
Yeah.
about vegan cheese and more worried about heart disease.
Yeah.
And also, as far as animals go, if you feed a turtle pizza, it dies.
That
So-
too.
Oh,
That's
we
what I thought this was
actually-
going to be. PETA saying, like, stop telling kids that you can feed pizza to turtles. 'Cause
Yeah.
that can't be healthy either.
Well, there are two other factors in this too that is not addressed here. JTE wanted to know, what do turtles actually eat? Because you know
Crickets.
what? If they're
Lettuce.
vegetarians, you're both right.
Okay.
Some of them are carnivores, some of them are vegetarians, and most of them are omnivores. They'll eat whatever's available, like us, like human beings. They're built to just eat the things that will keep them living. But one of the other concerns is that the show being on the air will get kids just buying a ton of turtles again as pets. Don't get a turtle as a pet. Turtle doesn't want
You have to wear gloves to handle it.
Well, it just doesn't want to, like, that.
They have E. coli.
You're gonna own it for 45 years.
It'll outlive you.
outlive. Not only that, but do you remember after Nemo, everybody was like buying clownfish, and it's like that wasn't the message of the movie.
Right. Remember the aquarium scene?
Yeah.
Like,
No.
that's not it. Oh boy. Anyway,
What
do
have we
with that
learned?
with you.
Yeah.
I would say like it's really tough because what are you going to have them eat broccoli? Like that doesn't seem fun for the Ninja Turtles, but they're encouraging kids to eat unhealthy things. Having said that, pizza is delicious. I had some yesterday. Dumbledore. This is a story people asked us to talk about in Fantastic Beasts, and I want Spencer's thoughts on this because you're a big Harry Potter fan, and yours. So it's been revealed that his sexuality is not going to be referenced in Fantastic Beasts. This is in an interview with EW. David Yates, who's directing the film, was asked, and he said not explicitly. But I think all the fans are aware of that. He had a very intense relationship with Grindelwald when they were young men, and they fell in love with each other's ideas and ideology and each other. So this is coming from the fact that J.K. Rowling said that Dumbledore was gay, and this was in 2007. Quote, she said, "I always thought of Dumbledore as gay. He and Grindelwald fell in love, and that added to his horror when he showed himself to be what he is." And I do think it adds a very strong element to their relationship and their dynamic, that they were in love with each other. Not just like in love as friends or in love with each other's ideology, but romantically in love. That's a lot to give up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know too much about this movie yet. We know Dumbledore's going to be in it, and Grindelwald will play a part. And where's Newt Scamander in all of this? Where's a bakery guy?
Don't care.
Really?
No.
Oh, he's my favorite part.
He's
Dan
the best
Fogler.
part of the
Best part of the movie.
I thought
He's my favorite Harry Potter character.
No, I loved him in Fantastic Beasts, but I'm not going to lie. The story that intrigues me is this story.
Sure, but I'm saying that this movie, Dumbledore might be, a kind of a figure on high that we kind of catch glances of, and it'd be weird if he paused to turn to the camera and be like, "By the way, I'm gay." But if it is really
I
focusing,
assume it would be just that.
Pierce,
With like a really quick
wink. Yeah, I think that if it is really focusing on his ex-lover and him pursuing him, it'd be weird to never mention that.
Yeah.
But there's so much. This is, again, 24-hour movie news cycle. David Yates didn't say Dumbledore's not gay in my movie. He said this movie will not explicitly go into it. No one has seen a frame of this movie. No one knows the story. No one knows who the characters are. And this is not set during the time that this, love story that J.K. Rowling kind of widely drew out years after she finished writing the books.
Well, the story's set after their love affair.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is set during that time where it's like this would be going on.
We
It's
get
like
flashbacks.
Maybe, but it's like I think what David Yates is saying is like this movie is not explicitly going into their backstory. There's 3 more movies, right, in this franchise that they're going to go into, that they have to go with Grindelwald and Dumbledore, you would assume. And I think people are just jumping up and down right now about a story that wasn't part of the official Harry Potter canon, that was added after the books were written, about the second
they had
movie in the
the-
5-movie trilogy.
Okay.
I mean, it was hinted at, right? But it wasn't like...
No.
They didn't tell this story in the books.
Not fully,
No.
but they talked about Dumbledore's youth and
Yeah.
his relationship that was sort of like weighted with.
That sounds like not
Other meanings.
explicitly addressing Dumbledore's sexuality, which is what we're here.
Yeah.
And J.K. Rowling didn't explicitly deal with it. It's just so people are jumping on this all of a sudden. It's like you're talking about the potential story of a movie that nobody's seen a frame of, and no one knows how these characters are handled or what they're doing. How big a character is Dumbledore in this movie? Is he like Grindelwald in the last movie? Does he show up at the end? Nobody knows anything about this movie yet.
Well, I have 2 responses, I guess. The first one is a joke response, and that is if Grindelwald is Johnny Depp, I don't want to watch a movie where Dumbledore is in love with Johnny Depp. And the other response is, this is a dodge of an answer, and I say it's a dodge because it sounds exactly like J.K. Rowling's dodge. It has always bothered me that she wrote this series of books, said, oh, they were close friends, and then later on, like it's some like Pottermore, oh, and one time Neville bought a new pair of shoes. That's a fun new story. She went, hey guys, Dumbledore's gay, and everyone was like, and she didn't do the work. She wanted a pat on the back without doing the work. So if you're surprised that him being gay isn't going to be addressed in the movies, they didn't do it in the books either. So don't be surprised. It's I don't know. I think it's it was disingenuous when she did it. I thought it was disappointing because it would have added a different dimension to his character. It would have been cool for gay Harry Potter fans to be like, oh, this like cool old figurehead guy is gay. He's like me. That's awesome. And she didn't do it. She didn't do the work, and it looks like they're not going to in the movies either, which doesn't shock me.
But this is one movie. This is one movie that hasn't. We don't know how they're going to tell this story, and it's just David Yates saying like, Dumbledore's sexuality is not explicitly a part of this movie, and everyone's just like, "Oh my God, they're forgetting that Dumbledore's gay." It's like no one said that.
I don't think that's-
Everyone's drawing conclusions based on this part of the story that we don't even know yet.
The conclusion is if depending on the amount of screen time and story time devoted to Dumbledore and Grindelwald's literal pursuit of each other, it'd be a conspicuous absence to mention that, oh, P.S., they were lovers.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be weird to never...
Exactly.
But we don't know
But
how
no
much of
one's
the
saying
story's
they're
gonna be.
never going to mention
Exactly.
it.
No. But I don't think anyone is. The responses that I have seen have mostly been like, oh, well, if that's the case, and if the movie, again, we don't know the answers to these, if the movie does delve into their relationship in any way that is meaningful, which I certainly hope that it does, because they have a really interesting relationship, then that is a conspicuous absence, because that is a pretty deep layer, right? Like if James Bond had an affair with Blofeld, I'm
okay.
like, you know what I mean? And he's like, they're hunting each other. I get it. No, that's not what happened.
Wizard of
Han
James
Solo
Bond,
and Princess Leia in Force Awakens,
Yeah.
if they met up with each other and there was never any like allusions to the fact that they
had a long-standing
a marriage
relationship
or whatever, yeah.
It's just that's a really important part of your dynamic with someone. If you've been intimate with them, that's a whole other level.
But so was Snape. Snape's whole storyline hinged on the fact that he was in love with Harry Potter's mother. And you didn't really find that out until the last movie. And the last movie hinged so much on the fact that, like, the reasons that I did all of these things was because I was in love with your mother. And that was a very key part of the puzzle that they gave you last in the story, that when you looked back at it retroactively, put the whole picture together and you make a more complete portrait of this character. And what if this series of movies has decided to do it the same way, that you are not explicitly referencing what's happening, you're seeing these two guys, you're seeing Dumbledore pursuing them, there are overtones of what's happening, and then in the middle or toward the end you go back and you explain what happened, and it fills in the story like it did with Snape. Snape's sexuality wasn't explicitly addressed in any of the Harry Potter movies, but his relationship romantically with another character was a huge motivating factor and a detail that they left toward the end. I mean, it's like people are expecting Dumbledore to like kick the door down and announce that he's gay. It's like, let the story play out, and maybe they want to parse that information out as we go.
Yeah,
That is
I mean
interesting.
that's a great point.
And that was something that that was a reveal in the books that was a surprise to everyone. I think now we're in this weird era of Harry Potter where we know so much about these characters from the books, from the movies, and then from this auxiliary material that is canon. That's part of what we know about Dumbledore, even though it's never even been in any film or book. So we know that about him, whether the movie... It'd be weird to hold that back as a surprise, considering the entire fandom knows that.
But everybody had read Deathly Hallows Part 2 and the movie came out, and it'd be like if somebody asked David Yates when Half-Blood Prince, the movie, was coming out, hey, is this movie, because it had already been in canon, is the movie going to address Snape's love, being in love with Harry Potter's mom? And David Yates was like, well, not explicitly, because we're telling a different story. And people are like, oh my God, Snape is not in love with Harry Potter's mom. This is an established canon fact, and they're just going to ignore it. It's like, I feel like we're in the same position here. Just like, let them tell the story that they're going to tell. And if they don't think as storytellers that right now is the correct time, now if we get 5 movies in and they completely ignore the fact that this was the established backstory, that's another discussion. But everyone seems to be jumping on this right now, and it's like, can we give them a sec? Let them tell the story they want to tell.
His answer really doesn't read that way, though. It doesn't read like, well, we're breadcrumbing it and we're going to get there because then the reveal is going to be so much more impactful. It really reads more like an evasion to
I think
me.
what disappoints me is that you're saying, what if they ignored something that's explicitly in the books? I'm saying that they wanted a cookie for something that isn't in the books, and now it kind of seems like they're doubling down on it, which is disappointing.
Yeah. Anyway, the most disappointing thing is that this has to be a conversation, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I chose to have the conversation because we were asked about it, taking responsibility. I just mean in the sense of like, why is this an issue? Like, why is there so much weight around the fact? I'm going to try and make my point as well as I can.
Thread that needle, Roth.
I'm gonna thread this needle.
It's like the
It
SNL
is an
sketch.
issue. Here's the thing. The reality is it is a very important issue, right? Because it is a matter of representation, and it's a matter of representation in film, and that matters quite a little bit. And if there was an opportunity, whether she failed to do it in the books or not, to do it in a film, then why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you take that opportunity to create some sense of inclusion, to open up the fandom, to say that this is for everyone, to say that we're going to represent the world as it exists, which includes all manner of sexuality. And my addendum to where I'm disappointed is like, why the fuck haven't we done that already? Why do we live in a world that just isn't the way things are? Like, why would it be potentially scary to a studio? Why would it be potentially upsetting to a studio to have Dumbledore, the figure of the greatest wizard who ever lived, of wisdom, of reason, of except the fact that he was trying to kill Harry the whole time, of every sort of like ethical marker that we should be following? Why is that scary to anyone that he is also, by the way, gay? It just upsets me. It makes me mad. It makes me sad. Why are we still here? Why can't we be better?
Because the sad truth is, if you say that, then there's going to be people outside the theater picketing, and there's going to be people that get death threats.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
And that's
though.
where I'm
Magic.
disappointed.
I agree,
and that's
but
where I'm
a
sad and
societal
upset.
issue. And I agree that representation is important too. And again, if they were changing the story, I would be upset too. But I feel like everyone is already jumping on this because they haven't immediately addressed this. And it's like,
I feel like people are just like, there is an opportunity here for David Yates to have said, yeah, he is. And of course we're going to include it because you know what? That's an important part of our world. And that's a thing that we can do with this movie. And we're going to do it.
but look at what happened with Beauty and the Beast. They said that there was a gay moment in it before the movie came out, and that became the story. It was, that became, oh my God, there's a gay moment, Beauty and the Beast, and that completely derailed every other discussion.
And it only made $1 billion pajillion.
Exactly.
dollars.
And it's going to take 100 times of doing that and just taking whatever little hit, there was no hit, it made so much money, taking whatever momentary blip that you get until this isn't the discussion anymore. And that's what it takes. You got to just do it.
But I think people are ascribing the fact that they're covering this up on a studio level. It's just like, we've got to shove this under the carpet. We got to shove it under the rug so that nobody finds out. And I don't think that's the case. We don't know yet. We don't know how they're going to handle this.
I'm not.
Everyone's already said representation matters. And
I'm
it
not
does.
saying
It
that they're
does.
covering it up, Dan. All I'm saying is that there was an opportunity here for David Yates to just say as if, oh yeah, it's not a big deal, because guess what? It's not, because people are gay. And then some are straight and some are bi, and that is life.
But
to just
isn't
be
that
like,
what he said?
Oh no, he said not explicitly, but the fans know.
But that's what he said.
That
He
feels
said,
like an evasion
Listen, we're not
to
going to
me."
address it directly, but I think fans are very aware of that. They had a relationship. They fell in love with each other's idea and ideology and each other. That's a very casual way of saying, like, I think fans are aware that he's gay. That's not saying we're not going to address it, but I think it's. I mean, again, we're parsing
Okay.
one thing. But
I'm
I think
going
it's
to
him
wrap us
saying-
up because we're running a little bit late. But the last thing I'm going to say on this is that all I mean is this: you're not wrong. Maybe it will be there, and we have to give the film a try. And we don't want to hyperbolically project what is ultimately going to happen. But there was an opportunity, even just in this statement, to make it very normal for a film that is a 4-quadrant family film, that is a high fantasy film, to have one of its primary characters be gay. And oh yeah, that's true. We're also going to do a lot of other things, because also it's a very, very interesting story and relationship, and you're missing an opportunity if you do not explore it. Story-wise, structurally, you're missing an opportunity. They might, but that answer reads to me, you're right. Perhaps they are. But I don't think I'm the only person that thinks that answer reads like an evasion. But maybe it's not. We will find out. And
To be continued.
Either way,
We'll find out.
It's fine to agree to disagree on this and all other things. Do you have any final words?
No.
Okay. Spencer Gilbert.
Goodbye. It's been great.
It's been good. We will be here tomorrow. Actually, I won't.
Oh, plugging things.
Plugging things. Okay, we have the background extras video on ScreenJunkies News, which I mentioned earlier this week, which is a whole lot of fun. Joe Starr, Daniel Radford, Ed Greer, and Mr. Billy Business are in this. Haterade, also a thing that I encourage you to check out. Mr. Spencer Gilbert teaches us how to hate things. Darren Murrell is going to have a review tomorrow of Winchester, which I have questions about. That movie.
Not screening for
Not
critics.
screening
Going
for
tonight,
critics.
reviewing on this channel here.
That was a 100% no, so Dan will let us know why is that tomorrow. And then today at 4 o'clock on the main channel, we have movie fights, and I think it's going to be a barn burner. It's Mr. Ed Greer and
Coy Jandro.
Coy Jandro.
Who you got,
Demon.
Murrell?
What?
Who you got? Greer or Jandro?
Oh, that's I can't. That's two different styles. That's like, who's winning a fight? Superman or
Batman?
No, God, no. I've already pissed off that section of the small fandom already. Not fandom. Those people that say they're fans but aren't.
Well, there's a small section of crazy everywhere.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of SJU, back with you tomorrow. I won't be here. I'm going to be doing a thing that I'm very excited about doing. It involves animals. Thank you, PETA. Sponsored by PETA. Just kidding. They're technically a terrorist organization.